Okay, I'm sorry about not doing this late for over a month. I've been kind of uh, doing a lot of stuff, thinking, uh, doing this, that, and the other, trying to. Um, I got a little sick too. Okay, I am doing that I have been doing for a while now. If you hadn't seen my other posts, I'm reading from this book called Bible Readings for the Home. That this book I got at an estate sale, and the book itself is from a 1962. Yeah, it says copyright 1962, but I think the book was 1963. Let me double check. Yeah, 63. It also has 67 on it, so the book is probably younger than what I thought, but it says 63 on it, so I'm going to go ahead with the 63. Okay, where we're at in the book, I'm in part 16, the home, and the place that the article that I'm at is called Training Children or Children's Training. Okay, don't forget to subscribe, uh, and and thank you for your support that you do and everything. Let me get that out of the way. Um, I'm just going to try to finish this book out as best as I can, and I apologize again for not reading or reading for such a long time because things happen, and I'm just a normal person doing what I can. Okay, let me get back to the book. It says this article is child training. Okay, it says uh, the article and has a subtitle. It said, "What to teach children?" Question: how should parents train their children? Uh, Quote: train your child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs 22:6. Quote, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nature and admiration of the Lord. Ephesians 6:4. Um, Let me break off for a second. It also could be this is the only times that when I'm doing these readings from this book, especially, is probably just times that I am allowed to read it. Okay, let me get back to the book because life does happen. Okay, get back to the book. Question: how diligently, my southern accent, how diligently should parents teach children God's word? Quote, these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. End quote. Quote, ye shall teach them your children, speak of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Deuteronomy 6, verse 6 and 7, Deuteronomy 11:19. Question: What high ideal what high ideals should be placed before the young? Quote, let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity. 1 Timothy 4:12. Question. What duty does God require of children? Quote, honor thy father and thy mother. Exodus 20, verse 12. Okay, now I'm reading this. It is set up as if it's a Bible study anyway, so the questions have answers, and it gives you, this is just the way the book's set up. And yes, it does, the previous episodes, does say that it's against the papacy. Um, uh, that's just, you know, for those that don't understand papacy, that is just the word they use for the Catholicism or Catholic religion. And that gets a little complicated, especially if you do history. Oh, it gets complicated with that and the use of that word. But, you know, I'm going to say, don't take my word or this book's what I'm reading. Look for it yourself. A lot of people lately, for the past week, I found videos and stuff, and that's what people are starting to do. They're starting to look for themselves, and that's the best thing you can do is do the research and look for yourself, and that's what you're supposed to do. Okay, let me get back to the book. The new subheadline says, Correcting Children, Caution to Parents. Question. How should the youth be taught to regard the aged? Quote, thou shalt rise up before the pottery head and honor the face of the old man, and fear thy God. I am the Lord. Leviticus 19:32. Question. What are some good fruits of proper child training? Quote, correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul. Proverbs 29:17. Question. What will result if correction was withheld? What will result if correction is withheld? Quote, the rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringing his mother to shame. Proverbs 29:15. See also Proverbs 22:15. Question. Is there danger of delay correction too long? Quote, chastise thy son while there is hope, and let not thy soul spare for his crying. Proverbs 19:18. See also Proverbs 23, verse 13 and 14. Question. Does proper correction evidence a want of parental love? Does proper correction evidence a want of parental love? Quote, and he that spareth the rod hath hated, he that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chastiseth him betimes. Proverbs 13:24. Note, one Christian mother writes this concerning the importance of child training. Quote, children who are allowed to come up to manhood or womanhood with the will undisciplined and the passion uncontrolled will generally in after life purpose a course which God condemns. The, ne- the neglect of parents to proper discipline their children has been a fruitful source of evil in many families. The youth have not been restrained, restrained as they should have been. Parents have neglected to follow the direction of the Word of God in this matter, and the children have taken the reins of government into their own hands. The consequences has been that they have generally succeeded in ruling their parents and instead of being under their authority. False ideas and a foolish, misdirected affection have nurtured traits which have made had children unlovingly and unhappy, have embittered the life of the parents, and have extended their baleful influence from generation to generation. Any child that is permitted to have their own way will dishonor God and bring his father and his mother to shame. End quote. Yeah, pretty much thinking about all that stuff. I was raised. Uh, I was raised by boomers, and they were forgotten generation. And of course, they being poor, they didn't have much, and uh, they learned from their parents, and they learned from their parents, and it went back and back and back and back. Uh, you know, to went back and back and back to Jamestown and the Mayflower, and then it went back and back and back further, and further and further and further. So that's just what it's supposed to. Okay, let me get back to the book. It says, "Whom does the Lord chastise?" Quote, "For whom the Lord loveth, he chastiseth, and scorneth every son who he receiveth." Hebrews 12:6. Note, from this we may learn that all child training should be done in love, and that proper child training is the evidence of true love. Question: against what evil should fathers guard? Quote, "Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged." Colossians 3:21. Note, correction should never be given in anger, for anger in the parent stirs up anger in the child. It is well to pray with the child before correcting him, and frequently mild but faithfully instructed abomination and prayer all all the training necessary, are in fact the best training that can be given. But in any case of perseverance, stubbornness, or willful disobedience, the correction, whatever it may be, should be persistent in until the child yields submissively to the will and wishes of the parents. It is best generally that correction should be done in private, as this tends to preserve the self-respect of the child, a very important element in character building. No correction or training should be violent or abrasive, or given for the purpose of breaking the will of the child, but rather to direct the will, bringing it to the proper subject, and the child to be realized sense of that is right and duty. That's a lot of words just to say, just don't do it out of anger. Lots of words. Okay? Question. How are the present effects and future results of God's chastisement constructed? Quote, now no chastising for the present seems to be joyous but gracious. Nevertheless, afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Hebrews 12:11. Why did God remove Eli? Quote, in that day I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I began, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons made themselves vile, and has restrained them not. 1 Samuel 3:12 and 13. Okay, this, as you can see, it says Samuel. His Eli's sons were stealing the good stuff, the good meat out of the sacrifice, and and cheating people. And Eli just let them do it, and you know he Eli just let the boys do it, and he had some boys that some sons that were good, and just these two specific sons that God was told them was gonna do. But you can read First Samuel and find out exactly what happened. Okay, let me get back to the book. Okay, what is to be one of the predominant sins of these last days? Quote, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, conversions, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. 2 Timothy 3:2. Okay, now we have a poem. So we're at the end of this article. And this poem, it doesn't say who's it by, but it just starts out. The oldest university was not on India's strand, nor in the valley of the Nile, nor on Arabia's sand. For time began, it was taught, and still it teaches free. Its learning mild to every child, the school of mother's knee. The oldest school to teach the law, and teach it deeply too, dividing what should not be done from what each one should do. Not was not in Rome, nor Ephraim, nor by the exclusive use of EUXINE, but held its sway ere history's day, the school of Mother's Knee. The oldest seminary would where theology was taught, where love to God and relevant prayer and the eternal ought were deep impressed on youthful hearts in pure serenity, came to earth with Abel's birth, the school of Mother's Knee. The oldest and the newest, too, it shall maintain its place, and from its classes ever full it graduates the race. Without its teaching, where would all the best of living be? 'Twas planned by heaven this earth to leaven, the school of Mother's Knee. Okay, and then we have a photograph on the other side of a picture of a man and a child, and they're looking at a book. And of course, since we are talking about a Bible, it's probably a Bible. And it says, a father's instruction and correction given in love are a powerful modeling influence upon the child's life. Happy is the child whose parents base their training and example upon the principles of God's Word. Okay, looks like the next ones are all about children. Okay, go to a next article, and it's called Promises for the Children. Okay, subheadline says Honor and its Reward. Question: what is said of the fifth commandment? Quote, honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise. Ephesians 6:2. Question: what is promised those who honor their father and their mother? Quote, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God give thee. Exodus 20, verse 12. Another sub-article in the same one, or subtitle, True Wisdom. What is the fear of God declared to be? Quote, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his command. Psalms 111, verse 10. Question: what is said of the poor but wise child? Quote, better is a poor and a wise child than an old and foolish king, who will no more be admonished. Ecclesiastes 4:13. Another sub-headline, Jesus and the Children. Question: how did Christ show his tender regard for children? Quote, suffer little children and forbid them not to come unto me, for Such is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 19:14. Question. How did he show that that he loved them? Quote, and he took them in his arms and put his hands upon them and blessed them. Mark 10:16. Another subheadline. Unity and happiness. Question. With what promise did the Old Testament scriptures close? Quote, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. He shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Malachi 4, verse 5 and 6. Note, from this we learn that while disobedience to parents and the breaking up of the home ties with characterize the last days, 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 3, Matthew 24, 37 through 39, Genesis 6, 1 and 2, God's message for the last day will straighten the cords of love and affection and bind the hearts of parents and children together. Interesting. Just think about it. Place it and just observe. That's all I can say. Okay. Next question. This has, how does Isaiah describe the happy condition in the new heaven and the new earth? Quote, they shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seeds of the blessed of the Lord, and their offsprings with them. End quote. Quote, the suckling child shall play on the hole of the ass, like a wasp. And the weaned child shall put his hand in the cockatrice's den. They shall not be hurt, but destroyed. They shall not be hurt nor destroyed in all my holy mountain. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as waters cover the sea. Isaiah 65, 23, Isaiah 11, 8 through 9. Okay? I know, big chunks. Really big chunks. Okay. Now it has another article. It says teaching the children. And then our subtitle is Old Testament admonition. Yeah, abomination. Sorry, my southern accent gets so crazy sometimes. Okay. Old Testament admonition. Question. What should be the prayer of every parent? Quote, oh my Lord, three dots, teach us, don't say three dots. That's just a continuation. Oh Lord, continuation, what the three dots mean. Teach us what we shall do unto the children that shall be born. Judges 13, verse 8. No, this is the part of the prayer of Manoah, the father of Samson. Question. How should our children be taught? Quote, all thy children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of thy children. Isaiah 54:13. Question. What will happen if a child is not properly instructed? Quote, a child left to himself brings his mother to shame. Proverbs 29:15. Question. How earnestly should parents teach their children the things of God? Quote, thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. End quote. Quote, ye shall teach them your children. Speak of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. End quote. Deuteronomy 6:7 and Deuteronomy 11:19. Another subheadline in this article, it says Old Testament examples. Question. How did Solomon's parents regard him as a child? Quote, I am my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. Proverbs 4:3. You know, Solomon is the son that David had, the second son David had with Bathsheba. The woman he stole from Uriah and sent Uriah to be murdered. And then, of course, Solomon had a brother, Nathan, and these are the descendants of Joseph and Mary. That's they can trace their ancestors to Solomon and Nathaniel. Uh, but that's a Bible thing that you probably need to learn if you go to Bible school, because I had to. Well, I did anyway. Okay, back to the book. Question. What does Solomon say his father did for him as a child? Quote, he taught me also and said unto me, let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live. Proverbs 4:4. From what time does the psalmist say he was taught? Quote, O God, thou hast taught me from my youth. Psalm 71:17. Okay, I'm going to take a little break for a second, and I'll be back in just a bit. Okay, sorry about that. Took a long time to do what that was a long break. To me, it was a long break. Okay, let's get back to the book. Okay, it's the next question here. Says how was Moses taught during the days of his early childhood? By faith, under the instruction of a devoted mother. See Hebrews 11:32, Exodus 2 through to 10. Note, the hiding of Moses was at the time when Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had issued a decree that every Hebrew male should be killed as soon as they were born, to prevent too rapid an increase of the Hebrews. The second chapter of Exodus tells the story of the finding of Moses by the king's daughter and his his being brought up by his own mother, employed as a nurse. She was a woman of faith, and her teaching of Moses was such that after he had been an Egyptian court until he, quote, was come of 2 years, end quote, he chose to suffer affliction with God's people rather than enjoy the honor of succeeding to the throne of Egypt as the adopted heir. He became the leader of God's people when they escaped from the Egyptian bondage, and after he died, he was raised to life and taken to heaven. See Hebrews 11:24, Jude 9, Matthew 11, Matthew 17, 1 through 13. It says Moses resurrected. Actually, but this is the way the book said. He actually, they don't know where he was born. I mean, died up. Um, he just went into the mountain. Because I remember reading it just a few uh, back. He just went up to the mountain and they couldn't find him. Okay, and you read it for yourself. That's all I can say. Okay. Question: how was Joseph regarded by his father? Quote: Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age. Genesis 37, verse 3. Note: the record of Joseph's life found in Genesis 37 through 50 shows that he lived immediately intimately with his father until he was 17 years of age. He must have been carefully taught of God also, for in all his marvelous experience as a slave, prisoner, and premier of Egypt, he remained true to his heavenly Father, not a single sin being recorded of him to the day of his death. Then we have another sub title, and it says New Testament Instruction and Example. Question: how should all Christian parents bring up their children? Quote: fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in nature and a dominate admonition of the Lord. Ephesians 6:4. That word I'm having trouble with my accent is ADMONITION. Admonition. Okay. I stopped for a second and looked to see if it was clicking down. Yeah, it's clicking down. Okay. Question: how early does Paul say Timothy was instructed? Quote: from a child thou hast known the Holy Scripture, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation. 2 Timothy 3:15. You got to think, Paul, or when he was massacring, or uh, before he became Paul, he was killing everybody, and he was way up there in the Pharisees. Uh, I did one time, I think it was in high school. Um, I got allotted Paul, and I had to do what was that? I forgot who wrote it. I don't know if it was Paul that wrote it or it was Josephus. I just remember reading the book of Paul or a biography about Paul. Okay, anyway, I digress. So let me get back to the book. We have another sub headline, or another headline. It says reward and blessing. Okay. Question: what reward in life is promised the faithful mother? Quote: her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. Proverbs 31:28. Question: what beautiful picture of home life is drawn by the psalmist for the father who fears the Lord? Quote, I quote, thy wife shall be as a fruitful vine by the sides of thine house, thy children like olive plants round about your table. Behold, that thus shall be a man, behold, that thus shall the man be blessed that feareth the Lord. Psalms 128, verse 3 and 4. Question: what motive will inspire all true parents of faithfulness in teaching their children? Quote, that our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth, that our daughters may be the cornerstones polished after the similitude of a palace. Psalms 144, verse 12. Note: we often hear the saying, quote, the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world, end quote. This agrees with the saying of the wise man. Quote, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old he will not depart from it, end quote. Proverbs 22:6. No father or mother knows the future of the little one, of the little child paddling about the home circle. But God knows, as he did in the case of Moses and Esther and Timothy. Wherever it is, he purposed for some of our children to rule the world, as did Joseph and Daniel virtually as prime ministers, or for some of them to, quote, stand before kings, end quote, as did Moses and Esther and Daniel, or for some of them to serve and suffer the same as Christ, as did Peter and John and Paul. It is our sacred privilege to teach the children faithfully and diligently during their tender years. That's why I took, when my little one was old enough, we were going to my dad's church, but they didn't have very many kids there her age, and my husband was kind of worried about it. And so I asked him to go to the church I was raised up in, and so we went there, and so she was about 6 or 7, and we always went to the assembly until this pandemic hit. We hadn't really been going, physically going. Okay, we got us a poem. Now, before this is at the end of this article, and it says, happy the home when God is there, and love fills every breast. When one their wishes and one their prayer and one their heavenly rest. Happy is the home where Jesus' name is sweet to every ear, when children early lisp his fame and parents hold him dear. Happy is the home where the prayer is heard and praise is not to rise, where parents love the sacred word and, and lives but for the skies. I know I don't do certain things that my brother would wish that I did, but you know, I do the best that I can, and I don't do it as I do it quietly and then silently, like it says to do privately. I don't do it out loud. I'm just reading the book just to read out loud. Okay, we're in another article, and this article is called "The Mother." In this book, Bibles, Bible readings for the home. So we're in article "The Mother." Okay, question: why did Adam call his wife Eve? Quote: and Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. Genesis 3:20. Note: it is said that there. It is said that the three sweetest words in any language are mother, home, and heaven. Question: what did God say to Abraham concerning his wife Sarah? Quote: and I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings and peoples shall be of her. Genesis 17:16. And even though she only had the one son, uh, Isaac, Isaac, you know, um, Abraham had many children. He had after Sarah passed away, he married and he had more children. Not many people know that or even acknowledge it, but Abraham had more children. Ishmael had 12 kids, and then when they buried Abraham, um, Abraham and Ishmael and the other mother came, the other children came. Okay, let me get back to the book because I'm about to go off on a tangent. Okay, subheadline: honor due to mothers. Question: what commandment guards the honor of the mother? Quote: honor thy father and thy mother. Exodus 20, verse 12. Question: what gender fanal regard did filial F-I-L-I-A-L regard did Christ manifest for his mother in the hour of his death? Quote: when Jesus saw his mother and the disciple standing beside whom he loved, and that has a bracket John, he said to his mother, woman, behold thy son. Then said he to the disciple, behold thy mother. And for that hour that disciple took her unto his own home. John 19:26 and 27. Another sub headline. It says the mother's influence on children. Question: what did Hannah promise to do if the Lord should grant her a man child? Quote, and quote, and she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed, three dots or the continuum, give unto me and to thy handmaiden a man child, then I will give him unto you, unto the Lord, all the days of his life. 1 Samuel 1:11. Question: to whom did God commit the care and early training of his only begotten Son? Quote, and when they were come into the house, they saw a young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. Matthew 2:11. Question: what is said of the Christ? What is said of the child's life of Jesus under the influence of his mother's tender care and faithful instruction? Quote, and the child grew and waxed strong in spirit, filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him. End quote. Quote, and Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor of God and man. Luke 2:40 and 52. Note: a Christian mother, above all others, can deeply implant and faithfully cherish the seeds of truth in the young and tender heart. More even than the father, the mother molds the life, character, and destiny of man. Every stage and phase of life is touched and influenced by her. Infancy, childhood, youth, manhood, and old age alike look to her for inspiration. Thus, she is both the morning and the evening star of life. That's an interesting note. Okay. Question: how early did Timothy know the scripture? Quote, and that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures. 2 Timothy 3:15. Question: what is said of his mother and grandmother? Quote, when I call to remember the unformed faith that is in thee, which dwell first in thy grandmother Lois and in thy mother Eunice. 2 Timothy 1:5. Note: no position in life is superior to that of a mother, no influence more potent of good or evil. Quote, all that I am or hope to be I owe to my mother, end quote, said Abraham Lincoln. Quote, all that I have ever accomplished in life I owe to my mother, end quote, declared D.L. Moody. Quote, a kiss from my mother, end quote, said Benjamin West. Quote, made me a painter, end quote. My mother, quote, my mother was a making of me, end quote, declared a noted inventor Thomas Edison. And Andrew Carnegie, the millionaire who gave his mother his earnings when he was a boy, said, quote, I am deeply touched by the remembrance of one to whom I owe everything that is what that a wise mother ever gave to a son who adored her. End quote. It is said that the home of a preval school, the best, the most hallowed, and the most potential of all academies. That the mother is the first and the most influential, and therefore the most important of all teachers. And then we have a poem by H.M.S. Richards. No peace you painted on ceilings high in Rome, but both your boys remember you lived one in your home. You penned no epic poem that critics might call art, but with a grander vision, you wrote one in your heart. You carved no Parian marvel in scriptured Greek design, but with your loving fingers you shaped this life of mine. You build no white cathedrals by echo footsteps trod, but in simple faith you made our home a house of God. Not a hand of Raphael or Michelangelo could paint Mother as she is. Only her child knew. Only her children know. H.M.S. Richards. Okay, now we have a new article. Yay! Or should I go ahead and do it this way? Okay, I thought that was kind of cool. I have effects on this thing, so that's what I got. Okay, now we're in a new article. Give me a second. I had to get some sweet tea. Since I'm Southern and I make sweet tea, might as well get some. Okay, this article is called "Evil Evils of City Life." Okay, sub-article, Lot's Choice. Question. When Abraham told Lot to choose what part of the country which he preferred, what choice did Lot make? Quote, and Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere. For the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord. Continuation. Then Lot chose him all the plains of Jordan. Genesis 13:10 and 11. Question. Where did Lot dwell? Quote, Abraham dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. Genesis 13, verse 12. Okay. Subheadline. Sodom and its citizens. Question. What was the character of the inhabitants of Sodom? Quote, but the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. Genesis 13:13. Question. What further description is given to the city? Quote, behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom, crude fullness of bread, and abundance of idolatrous, idleness, idleness. Okay, idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she straighten her hand to the poor or needy, and they were haughty and committed abominations before me. Therefore I took them away as I saw good. Ezekiel 16:49 and 50. See also Genesis 19:1 through 9. Question. How did their conduct affect Lot? How did their conduct affect Lot? Quote, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. Parentheses. For that righteous man dwelled among them in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. 2 Peter 2:7 and 8. Subheadline. The warning of angels. Question. Before destroying Sodom and Gomorrah, whom did the Lord send to deliver Lot and his family? Quote, and there came two angels to Sodom at even. End quote. Quote, and the men, angels, in brackets, said to Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, thy son, thy daughter, and whatsoever thou hast in this city, bring them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because of the cry of them is waxed great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. Genesis 19:1, 12, and 13. Question. What did Lot do, and how were his efforts rewarded? Quote, and Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughter, and said, up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his son-in-law. Verse 14. Genesis 19:14. Question. What did the angels say to Lot the next morning? Quote, arise and take thy wife and thy two daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. 3 dots. Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain again, lest thou be consumed. Genesis 19 15 and 15 through 17. Okay, go. Uh, let me go back for a second. There is a picture on this page of some little kids in a city scene playing, and it says right here uh, that goes with the photo. The caption says, "Children need fresh air and clean, wholesome place to play. Too often the city fails miserably to provide suitable surrounding for the health and well-being of impressionable little folk, not to mention the youth and the adults." We live in a rural kind of this city right here where we're at is kind of rural. You go away from here, I mean, there's farmers all around and everything, and still there's so much stuff going on here. I mean, just last night we had a, a resolution. I think that's what they called it. Somebody called it, and they were officers creepy crawling everywhere last night. But I didn't know until I was at something. But looking at something, and I wasn't even paying attention because what's going on here at the house. I was mainly just watching TV or streaming some shows, and I was kind of being lazy yesterday, a little bit lazy. And yesterday was a Saturday, so just doing what I need to. Okay, I'm gonna take a break for a second. Let me talk to you and say, um, thank you for your support. I know you probably don't like content like this, but I'm just reading a book, and I'm gonna be starting a new series here in a little bit. Once I get them, I got 3 books, old books, that I'm gonna do. I was, copying them, but they're like really old books. They're from 1890, so I need to do something while they're still pliable and before they disintegrated. And I got 3 different ones. One that was inherited, um, and then I went and bought another one, and then I bought another one. The 2 that I bought was all off of eBay. But anyway, just thank you for the support that you do give us, and always, support us. And I have 2 different places that I have this broadcast or this podcast. I have one is called the Loretta Nash Show, and then the other one is Lore's Blog. And the Lore is spelled funny. It's Lorgh. I know it's a funny way to spell Lore, but it's actually my name, my first name, my middle initial, and my old last name. And I didn't realize it was a real word, and it just means lore, which is the same as the story. So that's it. Okay, let me get back to the book. Okay, question. What then took place? Quote, "Then the Lord rained upon Solomon, Sodom, and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground." We got Genesis 19. So, yeah. Genesis 19, verse 24-25. Question. Because he disregarded the instruction given by the angels, What became of Lot's wife? Quote, but his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Genesis 19:26. Note: as a result of choosing a city life, Lot lost nearly all his family. She looked back. There's been many debates and questions of why she looked back. Her being a mom, some people think she looked back because she was wondering if her daughters and sons finally realized them was going to follow, or she looked back. There's many reasons why she looked back, but she just did the one thing the angels told her not to, and it became so. And I've always seen this movie back in the 70s when they had that, and they weren't supposed to go back at all. And in that movie that I remember is the character of Lot. His daughters were already way far ahead of him. He walked backwards and saw his wife. And that always bothered me a little bit when I saw that movie. Remember that movie? That he walked backwards. Just a little bit. And, to see that his wife turned to salt. Well, it just bothered me a lot whenever I remember that movie. But anyway, you can look it up. I forgot what movie it is, but you would see that the character of that movie, he actually walked back a little bit. Then dramatically and saw his. I forgot what movie it is. Oh, really? You did forget what movie it was in the 50s? Okay. Oh, I'm going down a rabbit hole I don't need to go. Okay, let me get back to this, to the book. Okay, we have a subheadline, and it says Lessons for our day. Question: foretelling the condition of the worlds previous to his second event, to what did Christ liken it? Quote, likewise also, as it was in the days of Lot, they will eat, they will drink, they bought and they sold, they plant and they built. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven, and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Lord of man is revealed. Luke 17:28-30. Note: the cities of today are like Sodom and Gomorrah, centers and sinkholes of vice, pride, violence, confusion, and crime. The cities of the United States furnish most of the nation's crime. Gotta think, this is 1963, guys. 63, and then I've got a 67 on there. Okay? The numerous holidays that world of excitement, pleasure, and sports, theater going, gambling, liquor drinking, and rivaling in the city attract thousands of the sober duties of life and stimulate every evil passion to activity. What a poor place, therefore, are the cities of today in which to rear a family. Too many, like Lot, have pitched their tent towards Sodom. Question: of what is the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah a type? Quote, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with the overthrow, making an example unto those that after should live ungodly. 2 Peter 2:6. Note: the destruction of such cities as Sodom and Gomorrah, Babylon, and Jerusalem is set forth as types of the destruction awaiting the world. Says one writer, quote, the time is near when the largest cities will be visited by the judgment of God. In a little while, those cities will be terribly shaken. No matter how large or strong their buildings, no matter how many safeguards against fire, many will be provided, many have been provided. Let God touch these buildings, and in a few minutes or in a few hours they will be ruined. The ungodly cities of our world are to be whipped away by the besom of destruction. In the calmness, in these calamities that are now befalling immense buildings and large portions of the cities, God is showing us all showing us what will come upon the whole earth, end quote. Quote, improved atomic bombs, end quote, will be, quote, inevitably ideally suited to suddenly unannounced attack in which the country's major cities might be destroyed overnight by an obstinately friendly power, end quote. General H. H. Arnold, quoted in Questions and Answers about the Atomic Energy, page 4. Terrible as the atomic bomb was to contemplate when it first was produced, it is small by comparison with the hydrogen bomb. It has been established that the explosion of only 250 such bombs strategically placed would blot out all life on Earth and make it uninhabitable for years to come. And then we have the last question of this article says, what is to take place under the seventh plague? Quote, and the seventh plague poured out his vial into the air. 3 dots. And there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake, and so great, 3 dots, and the cities of the nations fell. Revelation 16, verse 17 and 19. I know that's a big chunk that we need to contemplate. I'll be back in just a sec. Okie dokie. We got a new article here, and it's called Purity of Heart. Okay, Headline: Getting the Heart Right. Question: What did Christ say of the pure in heart? Quote, Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Matthew 5:8. Question: What did he declare to be a violation of the seventh commandment? Quote, Ye have heard that it is said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whoever looketh upon a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Matthew 5:27-28. Subheadline: Ancient lustful inclinations. Question: What sin brought on the deluge? Deluge. So it says Deluge, deluge. Quote, And there came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Three dots. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Three dots. And then the Lord said, I shall destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth. Three dots. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. Genesis 6:1-11. Question: What was the character of the inhabitants of Sodom? Quote, But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. Genesis 13:13. Quote, And they were haughty and committed abominations before me. Therefore I took them out as I saw good. Ezekiel 16, verse 50. See also Ezekiel 16:49. Note: Genesis 19:1-9 and 2 Peter 2:6-8 show what they were exceedingly corrupt in morals. Question: When tempted to sin, what noble example did Joseph set? Quote, and, quote, How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Genesis 39, verse 9. That's when Potiphar's wife, stole his his out his suit and claimed that she got raped on. Okay, got another subheadline. Paul and Christ speak. Question: Against what are the people of God warned? Quote, But fornication and all uncleanliness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you, as becometh saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather give in thanks. Ephesians 5:3 and 4. Question. What are mentioned as works of the flesh? Quote, now the works of the flesh are manifested, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lasciviousness, lasciviousness, Galatians 5:19. It's a big word, and it's broken in a funny place. Okay, question. What is said of those who do such things? Quote, and they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Galatians 5:21. Question. What did Christ say would be the condition of the world at his second event? Quote, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. Three dots. Likewise also as it were in the days of Lot. Three dots. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Luke 17:26 through 30. Okay. And then we have another segment, a sub headline. Well, there's actually two. So we got this one. Association and conversation. Question. We are warned against keeping company of whom? Quote, but now I write unto you not to keep company if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator. 1 Corinthians 5:11. Question. Seems like I skipped one. No, that's right. Okay. Question. Why are evil associations to be avoided? Quote, do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. 1 Corinthians 15:33. And it has an RSV again. I forgot what that means. It's a version of the Bible, or a Bible version. Okay? Question. What inexorable law is laid down in the scripture? Quote, do not be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall all the flesh reap corrupt. But he that soweth in the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. Galatians 6:7 and 8. Question. Instead of sanctification evil, what should we do? Quote, and here no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Ephesians 5:11. Question. What exhortations did the Apostle Paul give Timothy? Quote, flee Also, youthful lust. 2 Timothy 2:22. Quote, keep thyself pure. 1 Timothy 5:22. Okay? Question. How should we guard our conversation? Quote, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Ephesians 4:29. Then we have another subheadline. It says, the high call of holiness. Question. To whom are all things pure? Quote, unto the pure all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and consciousness is defiled. Titus 1:15. Question. What does the Lord call upon the wicked man to do? Quote, let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to the Lord, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. Isaiah 55:7. Okay. Question. What are the proper things to engage one's mind? Quote, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good report, if there be any virtue, and if there is any praise, think on these things. Philippians 4:8. Note, the greatest foe to social purity is immoral association, impure literature, improper dress, idleness, intemperance, theater going, and viewing questionable television shows. For this reason, parents should look well to their children's home life, their companions, the books, the papers, and the magazines they read, for their time is occupied, what they eat, drink, and where they spend their nights, and the character of their amusements. And whenever that came in my mind, I thought about that young Shelton and what his mama did um, when caught on with the comic books. That came into mind. And of course, he rebutted. If you ever watched the scene, he rebutted by, telling her to get rid of the Bible. Because she was being full forced on that. But, that's too. Just let me get away from that. Because that will start a whole big conflict. Okay. Now we have a little poem. I think it's a little poem. And it's called The Blind Hymn Writer. Okay, and it says, Fanny Crosby Uh, the noted hymn writer was blinded at the age of 6 weeks, apparently by the application of a too strong poultice on her eyes. Francis R. Cavergal of England wrote of her as the following. Now, this poultice is, well, I'm going to read about that when I get to the other episodes about this old book. Is like this thing that you put on parts of your body, and apparently this one was bad or too strong. Okay, let me read what it says. Sweet blind singer, all sweet blind singer over the sea, tuneful and jubilant, how can it be that the notes of gladness that float so far as if they fell from an evening star are are the notes of one who may never see visible music of flowers and trees. How can she sing in dark like this what her fountain of joys a bliss? Her heart can see, her heart can see, her heart can see. Will May, will May she sing so joyously from the kingdom, from the King himself in his tender grace has shown her the birth, the blight of the brightness of his face. Okay, so that's the end of part 17, and I mean part 16, and then got 18. So we got two other parts that'll be done, and I'll be done with this book. So I'm going to end this episode right here before I start part 17. So before I start, but anyway, that's from the book that I got called Bible Readings for the Home. Um, Always double check me of the the verses, and I know my awful reading, very very awful reading. It seems, well, I hadn't listened to myself in a bit, so I probably got a little stronger having this little break. Um, just keep us in your thoughts and keep this show, whichever version you're listening to, keep us in your thoughts. Um, on whatever platform you're listening to, make sure that you give me a thumbs up and you know, tell a friend about it. And I'll just say what I've been doing for the past um, for the past month. Okay, you know my daughter got graduated. Okay, so she graduated, and so been having some health issues um, for me myself. So I had to go to a doctor, and they saw in the novel something wrong, and they went in there and they did whatever they needed to do it. So, and that was about a week ago, and so, and I had an allergic reaction to the an allergic reaction and everything, and the bandage, and it's pretty much healing up. We've had a new batch of kittens. Uh, yeah, Tortoise, Khan, and Vashti. They all had the babies, and in that order. and no more than hours apart. And so the babies are 2 weeks old, and the orange babies are female. So we finally got some orange female babies. Um, Pixie, she passed away. She got sick. I don't know how she got sick, but she got sick, and she got really got sick. And I'm hoping my orange cat Donnie don't get it. Bluey is getting big. Oh, he's so pretty with his blue fur and his white feet. Um, and yep, he's a big tomboy. He's still young. Uh, uh, I think Pele is. I hadn't seen her around, so she probably gonna have kittens here soon. Um, I hadn't seen Martha, so Martha could have got sick too. I hadn't seen Mama, so they probably had kittens. And still get the raccoon comes here and just keep us in mind and everything. And and thumbs up and join and whatever. I need to figure out how to get this going and do it correctly. Um, my daughter pretty much knows, and she got her friends and stuff. So don't forget to thumbs up and whatever you need to do on whatever platform we got. So I'm going to finish this book out here, and then I'm going to start on one of these old books. They got recipes in them. Got some crazy stuff in it, and I'm going to be butchering the sounds. Um, they got Latin. I I remember trying to type it in a few years ago. Was copying it, typing it in, and scan it. You know, all kinds of stuff. And prayer. All you really got to do is just talk out loud. That's all really prayer is. You just talk it out loud. You can say if you want to, Lord, God, whatever. It's just a thought, a talk. I mean, you don't have to, or Jesus, I just saw a video about, where where it came from. Came from supposed to be Joshua, and then supposed to be a Greek version of Joshua is what Jesus is supposed to be, what the name is supposed to be, and you know, um, and of course, keep up on your history. Again, like I watched last night, I watched a movie I hadn't seen in a while, and if you think about it, that little bit, he said, go and do your own research. It's the night at the museum. If you want to know, one of the guys said, do up on your research, and that's history and all that. So that's what he did to to help with all his things since Dexter tore up uh, the stuff, the manual of the help. But anyway, just keep me and my daughter in your sight, in your prayers, in your thoughts. If you want to, you know, like and subscribe, or go to my um, e eBay page and buy one of my paintings that I got on there. Uh, I'm trying over here. We got a local flea market. My brother's got a booth, and I'm putting a little bit of stuff there in little auctions there. it's a little bit of nothing. And I got supposed to have some um, stuff coming here, something that looks like records and uh, looks like well, it's round like a record that doesn't have the hole in the middle. I may have the hole in the middle, and then making personalized covers, song covers. So I'm making song cover paintings. They're little 12 by 12, so I'm just doing that. Well, that's all I really have for Reddit this moment. I know I got a long time, and I've been working on this off and on for the past so long today. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop this episode and uh, go do what I need to do. And I thank you for listening. And so you're listening to Loretta Nash, the Loretta Nash Show, or Lore's Blog. You always can go and visit my artwork at Lore, LORGH .blog. See what I've been doing, and I'll see you the next time. Later.